Welcome to Auto Mundial, the weekly car news and review show. This time we're taking a look at not one but two new Bentleys as celebrations of the outgoing W12 engine begin.
And we're taking a look at the all-new Dodge Hornet, America's take on an Italian SUV.
That's all coming up, but first the news. Toyota has built a turbocharged GR86. In a move which enthusiasts have been calling out for years, Toyota has finally built a GR86 with forced induction. However, it isn't yet clear whether it will make it to production. As part of its synthetic fuel development, Toyota has put a boosted 1.6-litre engine from a GR Yaris into its two-door coupe, modified to run on man-made petrol. In a statement to Car Sales, Gazoo Racing chief engineer said the engine is under construction for use in the 86, but for now it's only being used to develop carbon-neutral fuels. The engine produces up to 300 brake horsepower in the Maurizzo edition of the GR Corolla, meaning a 72 horsepower boost over the standard GR86.
A few weeks ago we had a good look at Alfa Romeo's new compact SUV, the Tonale, sitting below the Stelvio as the brand's cheapest model. It brings a whiff of Italian style and panache to an otherwise rather beige corner of the market. It got us wondering though, what would it be like without all the elegance and sophistication of an Alfa Romeo badge? Well, here's the answer. It's called the Dodge Hornet, and don't let the new front bumper fool you, this is very much an example of badge engineering. Alfa Romeo and Dodge both fall under the umbrella of Stellantis, which shares development and platforms across different brands. So, what's been changed for North America? Well, on the styling front, the Hornet gets a different front end without the iconic Alfa grille. Instead, it gets some muscle car vents in the bonnet and a grille design more in keeping with Dodge's other, bigger SUVs. The rest of the car, though, looks very similar, right down to the door handles and wing mirrors. On the inside, the architecture remains the same as the Alfa, but the Dodge gets plenty of sporty red details to mark it apart from its Italian cousin. All models come with a 10.3-inch infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, plus a 12-inch digital instrument display. Amazon Alexa is also included, while higher trim levels get wireless phone charging and a 14-speaker Harman Kardon audio system. Under the bonnet, the Hornet gets two engine options. The first is a turbocharged 2-litre petrol motor producing a healthy 265 horsepower compared to the 9-speed Autobox. 0 to 60 takes 6.5 seconds. High-spec RT models get a smaller 1.3-litre motor, but this time it's hooked up to an electric motor for a combined 285 horsepower. This plug-in hybrid model sends power to all four wheels and can provide extra 25 horsepower bursts when you activate the so-called power shot system via the gear selector paddles. With this feature engaged, the Hornet RT will hit 60 from rest in 6.1 seconds.
In this class though, the Dodge has plenty of rivals, including this, the Kia Seltos. Fresh from a recent update, the Seltos gets either a 1.6 or a 2-litre motor, although power isn't quite as impressive as the Hornet. Although the basic LX trim level has a decent amount of kit as standard, we would suggest skipping past it and considering the Seltos S, which comes with additional infotainment features. A 10-inch display, remote start and automatic climate control are all included in the $24,000 of the S. Complementing the large Android Auto and Apple CarPlay capable touchscreen on the dashboard is a 7-inch display behind the steering wheel, and if selected on the options list, a heads-up display, all helping to inform the driver. A wireless phone charging pad is also an option, while USB ports are sprinkled throughout the cabin, and the options list is headlined by an 8-speaker Bose sound system. If the practical and sensible Kia doesn't quite float your boat though, the stylish Mazda CX-30 remains one of our class favourites. It looks great with plenty of influence from the beautiful 3 hatchback, but it's inside the cabin where you really notice the designer's hard work. The sculpted dash adopts a minimalist approach with a sporty 3-spoke steering wheel and some fabulous front seats. High-spec cars get two-tone leather that feels as soft as anything from BMW or Mercedes. In fact, we'd argue that the CX-30's interior is nicer than equivalent crossovers from any German manufacturer. It isn't just the design that's good, the quality is fantastic too. The infotainment works well, while there are just enough physical buttons to keep everything simple while on the move. The engine needs to be worked hard though, although that's no hardship if you opt for the excellent manual gearbox.
The new Dodge Hornet then has plenty of competition, even from within Stellantis. We'd opt for the Mazda, but with all its American take on Italian style, we can see the Hornet selling very well indeed.
After the break, the new Bentley Flying Spur Speed. Coming up, a brace of new Bentleys, but first though, the motoring world is full of niches. Buyers these days can choose anything from convertible SUVs to 1,000 horsepower electric off-roaders. One of our favourite automotive alcoves though is that of the lifted estate car. Cars like the Audi Allroad and Skoda Octavia Scout offer marginal off-road ability with their raised suspension and four-wheel drive, negating the need to get a big lumbering SUV. And now there is a new one. This is the Mercedes C-Class All-Terrain. And it follows the familiar recipe set out by Audi, Subaru, Skoda and others. The engineers have taken a regular C-Class estate, jacked it up a bit and stuck on some meaty black plastic wheel arches. This isn't Merc's first attempt at an off-road estate car. We loved the E-Class All-Terrain, but sadly it seems no one else did. It was a total flop in the UK and has since been pulled from showrooms. As a result, Mercedes currently has no plans to bring the C-Class version here either. That strikes us as rather a shame, especially as the All-Terrain looks on paper to be a very interesting car. Aimed squarely at the Audi A4 Allroad, the C-Class gets various chassis tweaks to conjure some off-road credentials. The raised suspension improves travel by 40mm, while larger steering knuckles and chunkier wheels have been engineered to improve the ride quality over rough surfaces, although there's no air suspension like you get on the bigger E-Class All-Terrain. Naturally, the C-Class also comes with all-wheel drive and a host of styling tweaks to mark it out from the rest of the range. The front bumper has been restyled, and there's a faux skid plate that won't protect you from much more than a pile of leaves, but at least it looks cool. The rear bumper, meanwhile, is left unpainted, meaning dogs jumping in and out will not scratch it. Inside, you're treated to a leather-trimmed sports steering wheel and electric seats, while the digital instrument cluster now includes a new off-road menu, which displays everything from your coordinates to your incline angle. There's other useful stuff too, usually reserved for big 4x4s, like the electric tow bar and trailer stabilisation system, which prevents you from fishtailing. To keep the all-terrain mud plugging, it gets a choice of two turbocharged 2-litre engines, both with mild hybrid assistance. The petrol motor produces a healthy 254 brake horsepower, while the diesel puts out even more at 261. Both engines are paired up to a 9-speed auto box and have belt-driven starter generators, which can give 20 horsepower boosts when required. But while the C-Class all-terrain and indeed the Audi A4 all-road remain out of grasp for us UK buyers, there are still one or two rugged estate cars we can get our hands on.
This is the Volvo V60 Cross Country. Basically a V60 with some off-road bits, as is the way with these outdoorsy estates. As you'd expect, drive is sent to all four wheels. Volvo has been doing this sort of thing for years, and as a result the Cross Country feels like a very accomplished car. It doesn't pack the power of the Merc, but its suspension is even taller, providing a cushiony, smooth ride. The V60 has been around for a while now though, and as a result the interior isn't quite a match for the up-to-date Mercedes.
The Merc then clearly isn't to British taste. If you do fancy an off-road estate though, the Volvo is an easy car to recommend. The old Vauxhall Grandland X was never much of a contender in the affordable family SUV class. It lacked the style of some rivals and the quality of others. Now though, Vauxhall's had another go with this, the new one. Now called simply the Grandland, it's piqued our interest with its bold new look. Gone is the bulbous shape of the old car, and in its place is a sharper, more up-to-date design. The boxy front-end shape will look familiar to some, as the new car looks very similar to the current iteration of the Mocha. In fact, Vauxhall is currently refreshing its lineup, drawing inspiration from the GTX concept released in 2018. The flattened bonnet is enhanced by the squared-off LED daytime running lights and light bar running along the width of the car. The whole thing comes together to give off an almost retro feel. This is a path many car designers have started going down in recent years. Under the bonnet, the new Grandland gets the same 3-cylinder 1.2-litre engine as the old car, producing 128 bhp. More interesting though are the hybrids. First up is a plug-in hybrid version combining a 1.6-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine and a 13.2 kilowatt-hour battery. The whole thing puts out 222 brake horsepower. With the fossil-fueled half of the powertrain turned off, the electric motor will run for an estimated 39 miles at a top speed of 84 miles per hour. Using a 7.4 kilowatt charger, those 39 miles can be replenished in an impressive hour and 45 minutes. Keeping it competitive in this fiercely fought segment of the market, Vauxhall has fitted the Grandland with some rather clever headlights that illuminate the road in different ways depending on the conditions. The tourist mode is the most intriguing, turning down light intensity to avoid blinding cars when driving abroad, negating the need for those horrid stick-on deflectors. Jump in the cabin and it's all rather flavourless. The dull colours chosen to decorate the seats and dashboard, even in the so-called ultimate trim level, could do with a dash of spice. Plus, the infotainment screen does feel a little bit of an afterthought. It looks like it's been placed in front of the air vents. Though it has to be pointed out that the controls are well laid out. The centre console is fairly clutter-free, while most of the infotainment can be controlled via buttons on the steering wheel. If the Vauxhall wants to battle for top honours in this class though, it will need to beat some of our favourites, like this, the Ford Cougar.
Like the Vauxhall, It isn't going to wow you with its sharp interior design or its performance. It is well made though, and very practical, the most important qualities for any family car. A plug-in hybrid version of the Ford hits similar power figures to the Grandland thanks to a 2.5-litre four-pot. Though with a smaller 14.4 kilowatt-hour battery, it will only reach a range of around 30 miles on electric-only power. And while it may look like a Fiesta that's had rather a large Sunday roast, we happen to think it looks rather good. And then there's this, the all-new Kia Sportage. A bit of a departure from the plain Jane styling of the old car, this new one looks great from any angle. And it's more than just a pretty face. It's easy to forget that the Sportage has been with us in some form or another for almost 30 years. In that time, Kia has refined it into one of the most impressive new cars of 2022. All models come packed with all the latest technology, while under the bonnet there's an incredible array of powertrain choices. You can have 2- or 4-wheel drive, petrol, diesel, plug-in hybrid or mild hybrid. It's well priced, starting at just over £27,000.
Despite its new good looks though, the Vauxhall still fails to wow us versus its peers. Starting at Sportage money, it's no surprise that the Kia is one of Britain's best-selling cars of the year so far.
The remarkable Bentley W12 engine has been with us for almost 20 years. Having first made its debut in a Volkswagen concept car, it has gone on to power Bentley's Continental and Flying Spur models since 2003 and made its way into the Bentayga a few years ago. Now though, the 6-litre W12's days are numbered. Bentley is moving towards electrification, but it wasn't about to let its iconic power plant go quietly. This is the new Flying Spur Speed, but it isn't what you might think it is. When Bentley unveiled the latest Continental GT Speed, it came with extra power and aero to make it the most capable GT in the lineup. The Flying Spur Speed, however, doesn't get quite the same treatment. Instead, this is essentially the new name for the old W12-powered Spur, which went out of production in May. Before, buyers could have the Spur with either a V8 or the W12. Now though, if you want the extra cylinders, you have to get the Speed. Apart from the new name, not a lot else has changed. The W12 still produces the same 626 brake horsepower, and it'll still do 0 to 62 in under 4 seconds onto a top speed of 207 miles per hour. Power is still sent to the rear wheels, with the front stepping in if there's a call for more traction. The only differences then appear to be styling tweaks. The lights and grills get a darker tint, and there's a bespoke set of 22-inch wheels. On the options list, there's also something called the styling specification. This adds a new carbon fibre front splitter, side skirts and rear diffuser if you fancy giving your £200,000 limousine some max power flavour. What we thought was going to be a farewell to the W12 then is really just a bit of rebranding for an existing model. The Flying Spur Speed isn't the only Bentley to be revealed this autumn.
This is the BATUR, something truly special to send off the W12 in style. With help from Bentley's in-house coach building division, Mulliner, the BATUR is a super exclusive Grand Tourer, showcasing not only the engine, but the brand's new design language as it heads into a new electric era. The W12 has been wound up to produce more than 730 horsepower. making this the most powerful road car Bentley has ever produced. It's based on the Continental GT's platform, with an elegant new body with active aero. There are numerous sustainable materials used in the construction, while the cabin is full of ultra-luxurious leather with 18-karat gold trim. Just 18 will be built, priced from $1.65 million before taxes. Deliveries are due to start next year. All have already been sold.
Join us again next week on Auto Mundial as we check out the latest concept car from Skoda, the intriguing Vision 7S.